Step right up and take a journey back in time to the days when the Wild West wasn't just a place, it was a spectacle. From the daring stunts of sharpshooting cowboys to the grand reenactments of frontier battles, Old West shows captured the imagination of audiences across America and beyond. But behind the curtain of this thrilling entertainment lie some lesser-known stories that are just as fascinating. Get ready to discover 10 surprising facts about the legendary Old West shows that brought the frontier to life for millions. Whether you're a history buff or just love a good tale, these tidbits will have you seeing the Old West in a whole new light. Australians love them. While Wild West shows began in the United States, their allure quickly spread across the globe, captivating audiences far beyond American borders. Australians, in particular, were drawn to these spectacles when they arrived on their shores. In 1891, Worth's Wild West show made a sensational appearance in Sydney, attracting large crowds eager to witness the excitement. One of the highlights of this show was the appearance of a Sioux chief known as American Bear, who was advertised to race against a New Zealand racehorse. By 1911, another show, Scunthorpe's Wild West Show, made its mark in Adelaide. The event not only attracted locals but also drew visitors from rural areas, underscoring the widespread appeal of these shows. One of the standout features of Scunthorpe's show was a daring act involving a woman riding a cow bareback, a stunt that was heavily promoted as a major attraction. The inclusion of such a performance reflects the show's efforts to push boundaries and entertain with feats that seem both exotic and audacious. During the same year, yet another Wild West show, orchestrated by Lieutenant Colonel Stacy, promised an even more elaborate spectacle. This show boasted the presence of 3 Native American chiefs, a medicine man, 26 full-blooded indigenous individuals, and a single Native American girl. The emphasis on showcasing Native American culture, albeit through a lens that often distorted reality, played into the fascination with the exotic and the unknown, a theme that was prevalent in these traveling shows. By the mid-20th century, Australia had fully embraced the Wild West tradition, putting their own spin on the genre. In 1947, Australian performers began staging their Wild West shows, featuring not only the familiar cowboy and outlaw archetypes, but also incorporating real Australian outlaws in a Maori entertainer. This evolution of the Wild West show in Australia highlights the adaptability of the format as it morphed to reflect local history and culture while still maintaining the core elements that had made it a worldwide phenomenon. A basic program. Wild West shows were famous for their lively atmosphere, brimming with a variety of entertainment, competitions, and social events that kept audiences on the edge of their seats. A program from the Wyoming-Montana Wild West Show Company in 1910 provides a snapshot of the dynamic activities that were typically featured. The day's events kicked off with live music performed by the Broken Bow Military Band, setting the tone for the excitement to follow. Audiences could enjoy the thrill of pony races and marvel at the skill displayed in fancy roping demonstrations, both on foot and on horseback. The inclusion of a ladies' bucking contest added an extra layer of intrigue, as women were showcased in roles that challenged traditional gender norms of the time. One of the most dramatic acts was a staged attack on an emigrant train by Native Americans, a spectacle that played into the era's fascination with frontier life. This act was carefully choreographed to highlight the bravery of cowboys who would heroically come to the rescue, reinforcing popular myths of the Wild West as a land of constant danger and daring heroes. Such dramatizations were a blend of fact and fiction, designed to entertain while also subtly shaping public perceptions of the American West. In addition to these high-energy performances, the shows often included a horse thief act, a reminder of the lawlessness that was part of the Wild West mythology. The quadrille dance, performed by cowgirls and cowboys, offered a moment of cultural celebration, blending Western traditions with a touch of elegance. These dances weren't just for show. They reflected the social customs of the time and provided a space for participants to engage in communal activities, reinforcing the sense of community among those who attended. The popularity of these events was undeniable, with seats often filled to capacity. People traveled from over 160 kilometers away, not only to witness the spectacles, but also to take part in the competitions and socialize with their neighbors. The Old West Show was as much about community bonding as it was about the thrill of the performance, making it a vital part of the social fabric of the time. The real Old West shows. By 1911, the proliferation of Wild West shows had reached such a level that some of the original pioneers of the genre began voicing their frustrations publicly. The surge in popularity had led to an influx of new productions, many of which were criticized for lacking authenticity. According to veteran showmen, the true essence of a Wild West show was rooted in its genuine connection to the West. Shows like the renowned 101 Ranch Real Wild West show from Oklahoma prided themselves on featuring individuals who had actually lived through the experiences they were reenacting. These performers brought with them not just skill, but lived history, offering audiences a window into the realities of the frontier. In stark contrast, the so-called fake shows were accused of being little more than cheap imitations. These productions were often run by opportunistic showmen who relied on sensationalism rather than substance. For them, the Wild West was reduced to a series of superficial cliches: pistol shots, exaggerated Indian whoops, and over-the-top antics that bore little resemblance to the true stories of the frontier. Critics liken these shows to circus acts, where performers were assigned grandiose but fictitious titles and fabricated histories of bravery. The lack of authenticity in these performances undermined the cultural significance of the Wild West, turning what was once a celebration of a unique period in American history into mere entertainment. The distinction between real and fake Wild West shows was more than just a matter of pride for the original showmen. It was about preserving the integrity of the stories they were telling. Authentic shows sought to honor the experiences of those who had lived through the challenges and adventures of the West, while the imitations risked reducing these experiences to mere spectacle. The tension between these two approaches reflected broader concerns about the commercialization of history and the ways in which popular entertainment could distort public understanding of the past. The cost of starting a show. In 1892, a reporter from the British weekly magazine Tit-Bits interviewed Nat Salisbury, a partner in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, to uncover the financial demands of starting a Wild West show from scratch. Salisbury laid out the daunting costs involved, emphasizing that such an endeavor was far from a small investment. According to Salisbury, the initial capital required would be a substantial $30,000 just to get the operation off the ground. From there, the task of assembling a full cast and the necessary animals would begin. Salisbury estimated that a successful show would need at least 300 participants, including a diverse mix of cowboys, cowgirls, Native Americans, and Mexicans. This was crucial to creating the authentic, multicultural experience that audiences expected. The wages alone would be a significant ongoing expense, totaling around $1,500 each week. Native American chiefs, who played a central role in these performances, were typically paid $20 per month, while cowboys could expect to earn between $16 and $24 per month, depending on their experience and skills. Beyond wages, the logistical costs were also considerable. The show would need to provide food and other necessities for all employees, further adding to the financial burden. If the idea was to take the show abroad, such as crossing the Atlantic, the costs would skyrocket. Salisbury noted that securing an entire ship for the journey would cost around $6,230, highlighting the immense scale and complexity of such an operation. In essence, Salisbury's insights underscored that launching a Wild West show was a significant financial undertaking. The high costs involved in assembling a large, diverse cast, managing logistics, and paying competitive wages meant that only those with considerable resources and determination could hope to succeed in this competitive and demanding industry. Getting in the Wild West show. Each spring, the selection process for the 101 Ranch Real Wild West show was an event of significant importance, drawing hopeful participants from far and wide. Cowgirls and cowboys competed fiercely for the chance to showcase their talents, knowing that being chosen to join the show was a mark of distinction. Those who made the cut were regarded as the elite, their skills setting them apart in a field where competition was intense. Native Americans also flocked to the ranch with aspirations of being selected, eager to share their culture and traditions with audiences across the country. The show sought to represent the diverse aspects of Native American life, and those chosen included tribal chiefs, warriors, women, and children. Their inclusion was more than just performance. It was an opportunity to offer a glimpse into their heritage, albeit through the lens of a commercial spectacle. One of the most notable participants was Geronimo, the famous Apache leader, who joined the 101 Ranch Real Wild West show in 1905. His involvement added a layer of historical significance to the show, as Geronimo was a living symbol of the resistance and resilience of Native American people. His presence, along with other Native Americans, highlighted the complex interplay between entertainment and the representation of indigenous cultures during this era. Princess Winona. Many individuals found their path to fame through Wild West shows, and one of the most notable was Lillian Smith. She began honing her rifle skills at the young age of 7 and was already performing in public by the time she was 10. Her talent was undeniable, and she quickly made a name for herself as a sharpshooter. At one point, Lillian even issued a challenge to Doc Carver, a renowned marksman of the time, though he never accepted the invitation, possibly intimidated by her growing reputation. As Lillian's career progressed, she sought ways to enhance her appeal to the public. To do so, she reinvented herself by darkening her skin and adopting the stage name Princess Winona, the Indian Girl Shot. This transformation was a strategic move aimed at capitalizing on the public's fascination with Native American culture, which was a prominent theme in Wild West shows. The name change and altered persona were intended to boost her popularity, reflecting the lengths performers would go to adapt to the tastes of the era's audiences. By 1910, Lillian's skills were widely recognized, and her performances were frequently celebrated in the press. One newspaper article proudly highlighted her ability to shoot glass balls high in the air, achieving an extraordinary accuracy rate of 496 out of 500. What made this feat even more impressive was that she performed it while riding a galloping horse, a testament to her remarkable precision and control. Performers often had to balance their authentic talents with the demands of showmanship and public expectations, sometimes adopting new identities or personas to stay relevant. Her decision to become Princess Winona speaks to the era's cultural landscape, where authenticity was often intertwined with performance, and fame could be as much about image as it was about skill. Buffalo Bill. In 1913, Buffalo Bill, also known as Colonel William F. Cody, expressed concern about the growing popularity of movies, which he believed were drawing audiences away from traditional Wild West shows and circuses. Cody predicted that both forms of entertainment might soon face decline as people increasingly preferred to stay indoors and experience the wonders of the world on large movie screens. This shift in public preference was significant as it indicated a changing landscape in entertainment during that era. By 1915, the impact of this new medium was evident when newspapers reported that Buffalo Bill was making his foray into the film industry with the movie Patsy of the Circus. This move was seen as an attempt to adapt to the evolving entertainment environment and capitalize on the burgeoning film industry. However, Buffalo Bill's cinematic venture was short-lived, and his career in film was over almost as soon as it began. Tragically, on January 10, 1917, Buffalo Bill's life came to an end at his sister's residence in Denver, Colorado. His death marked the end of an era for the Wild West shows that had once defined his career. The transition from live performances to the silver screen represented a broader cultural shift, one that Buffalo Bill, despite his iconic status, was unable to fully navigate. His brief foray into movies reflects both the challenges faced by traditional entertainment forms and the rapid evolution of popular culture during the early 20th century. A toothy grip. In 1912, an article in Adelaide's Daily Herald dramatically announced that the Americans had invaded the city, referring to the arrival of Captain Rose's Wild West Company. The piece provided an in-depth look at one of the show's standout performers, Buffalo Vernon, and his impressive skill in bulldogging wild steers, a spectacle that captivated audiences. Bulldogging was a daring and physically demanding feat that involved a cowboy leaping from his horse onto the back of a charging steer. Once atop the animal, Buffalo Vernon would execute a series of precise maneuvers to bring the beast under control. He would first secure a firm bite on the steer's lip, using this grip to twist its head until the animal was forced to the ground. To keep the steer subdued, Vernon would then plant his teeth into the steer's lip, holding it down with sheer determination and strength. Such performances were designed to thrill and amaze, reinforcing the Wild West's image as a place of rugged individuals who could tame even the wildest of beasts. The day they jumped the shark. What connection could automobiles possibly have with the Old West? By 1922, the integration of cars into Wild West shows had become a reality. One example is the Burroughs Wild West show, which featured a daring stunt involving a bulldogger. In this stunt, the performer would leap from the running board of a moving automobile and tackle a steer by grabbing its horns. This spectacle was undoubtedly thrilling for audiences of the time, but it represented a significant departure from the traditional stunts that had characterized early Wild West performances. Buffalo Bill's concerns about the decline of Wild West shows were not unfounded. His own venture into this form of entertainment faced financial difficulties and went bankrupt in 1913, a clear indicator of the shifting interests and economic pressures affecting the industry. The 101 Ranch Real Wild West show, another iconic name in the genre, managed to continue until 1939. Despite its longevity, it was one of the few that persisted amid a rapidly changing entertainment landscape. The broader trend saw numerous Wild West shows rise and fall, reflecting the transition in public tastes. As the allure of the Wild West began to wane, audiences increasingly sought new forms of entertainment, influenced by technological advancements and changing cultural interests. A bad influence. While Wild West shows were immensely popular with many audiences, they also faced significant criticism, particularly regarding their depiction of guns and violence. In 1913, a Chicago newspaper highlighted a troubling incident that some linked to the influence of these shows. The report detailed a tragic event involving W.M.V. Robbins, a Yale graduate and lawman, who had attended a performance of Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. Following the show, Robbins returned home with his 9-year-old son, William, and subsequently shot and severely injured him. Robbins then took his own life. The newspaper did not provide additional details about whether the injury to the boy was accidental or deliberate. Instead, it suggested a connection between the violence depicted in the Wild West show and the subsequent actions of Robbins, leaving readers to speculate about the possible influence of the show on his behavior. This incident reflects broader societal concerns about the impact of entertainment on individuals' actions. The sensational nature of Wild West shows, with their dramatic portrayals of conflict, faced scrutiny from those worried about their potential effects on viewers. Such criticisms were part of a larger debate about the role of entertainment in shaping behavior and the responsibilities of showmen in presenting potentially harmful content. As we journey through these intriguing facets of Old West shows, it's clear that these performances were more than mere spectacles. They were a vibrant reflection of an era steeped in myth and adventure. From the daring acts and larger-than-life personalities to the evolving ways in which these shows adapted to new technologies, the legacy of the Wild West continues to captivate and inspire. If you enjoyed exploring these captivating insights, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join us on this thrilling ride through history. Your support keeps the stories of the past alive and brings even more fascinating content to your screen. Saddle up and subscribe now. There's plenty more to discover about the untamed spirit of the Old West.